So yeah, this is just definite proof that I've actually seen the film. And let me just go ahead and tell you, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it, man. Like, it is just that level of good. Like, I would not be surprised if this thing got nominated or wins an Oscar. But let's just say, if I see Wreck-It Ralph 2 actually win that Oscar, I'm just like, no, it's this movie. It's this movie. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's the movie that deserves an Oscar, goddammit. Like, Disney is not gonna win it this year. It's not gonna take it. Nope, nothing. This is the film that's gonna get Best Animated Feature. So yeah, I just want to just give out my quick thoughts. Now I gotta go ahead and tell you, I almost don't even want to talk about anything about the film because you just gotta watch it, and you probably already have. And you probably just here because you want to hear my thoughts. In which case, yeah, I got a couple of thoughts. Now, I'll go ahead and say that there are a couple of bits that maybe were a little distracting. Like, maybe there are a little too many Easter eggs. But overall, I just love it. Like, new favorite film. And I gotta say, it's sort of, it does go into new territory. So basically, it's, the story in the movie is centered around Miles Morales, who I'm pretty sure if you've read the comics already know, what's the story around here. But for those of you who aren't familiar, it basically centers around a black Puerto Rican kid in Brooklyn who's suddenly transferring into a school for gifted kids, and he suddenly realizes that this is a bit overwhelming. He goes to his Uncle Aaron to sort of blow off a little bit of steam during some graffiti, and that's when he gets bit by the radioactive spider. Although I do gotta mention, they kind of subverted the trope per se, in the sense that it's like he knows, like we all know as an audience, we know what we got into. We want to see that spider bite him, so to speak, and we know it's gonna be painful, getting those powers that way. And we kind of know that spider's just going to scurry off. But in this case, the moment Miles gets bit by the spider, it's just like, he gets bit, the spider does its, DNA thingy, whatever, and then it's just like that. Like, how ghetto do you have to be to not flinch when getting bit by a spider? I don't know about you, but if that thing bites you, you know that thing's probably poisonous and you should go see a doctor. But then again, it happens. Spiders, sometimes they just bite you. Anyways, he gets these powers and realizes that, oh my goodness, am I really gonna have to, take up the responsibility as the second Spider-Man? Because in this universe, there already is a Spider-Man, but this is the universe of Miles Morales where he pretty much witnesses Spider-Man die at the hands of Wilson Fisk after he just stopped the particle collider, and it's now down for repairs. Anyways, before dying, Peter sort of hands over the, what did they call it? The goober, or sort of a thumb drive that will pretty much shut down the whole thing. And I gotta go ahead and say this. I think this film has a little bit of symbolism beyond just what we see. Like, the Stan Lee cameo was not representative of Stan Lee in this case. I think it's actually their universe's Peter Parker, or the universe where Miles comes from, where Peter is now, dead. It's like he has an entire vigil set up for him, like all of New York stays silent. And I really gotta ask, what would J. Jonah Jameson have said in this case? Would he continue to bash Spider-Man, or would he just, take a moment to just chill and reflect on the fact that one of his ace photographers was also Spider-Man? Would he rant about the fact that he just let a kid basically take money from him because he was taking selfies of himself, going around the city? Or is he gonna realize the fact that the reason why this kid took this job is because he really needed the money because he knows he wasn't gonna do it, going around saving people. He knows it wouldn't be right, and not only that, but he has saved J. Jonah Jameson multiple times. So I kind of would have liked to see that, see J. Jonah Jameson have a moment of reflection and maybe realize that Spider-Man really was a hero. But overall, it was. I think there was a little bit more symbolism in there. I think in this case, the Peter that died in the film is sort of representative of Stan Lee in the sense that he has done so much, not just creating Marvel, not just writing, and creating these characters, but also sort of, in a way, giving us stories to inspire us, giving us people, albeit fictional, that we can look up to and who have, admirable traits that we can sort of replicate and Peter and Miles is now a surrogate for the fans to say that now we have to carry on the mantle of fiction crafters, in the sense that we now have to create stories, maybe not necessarily of Spider-Man, but stories that other people can see themselves in and sort of, inspire them to achieve better. Because let's face it, there's a reason why we all love Spider-Man. It's because deep down, he's just a regular guy doing the right thing. And, and that's pretty much the basic theme of Spider-Man as a whole. You're just a regular person who just does the right thing, not because you expect anything from it, but because you know that if no one else is going to do it, if you don't do it, no one else will. However, that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be easy. In fact, the rest of the story is sort of Miles learning to, take up the mantle. In fact, in the middle of this, at the beginning, it's like the thing that basically Stan Lee is sort of selling this Spider-Man outfit to Miles, because of the whole Vigil thing, and Miles sort of asks Stan, will it fit? And Stan's reply is, it will fit eventually. It fits everyone, sort of. And, you sort of see Miles go through this transition. And I know people have already seen some of the clips that Sony released. So, when Aunt May then gives Miles his own web shooters, and she says they fit perfectly, suddenly it sort of all goes full circle. And, the film does that a lot in terms of, setting up lines that come back later on. And, yeah, let's just say, I don't know, I kind of want to talk more about Miles and the rest of the story, but I gotta sort of move on with some of the other characters. Anyways, the other Peter that, that we sort of see that is kind of a deadbeat, he's from another dimension, presumably the one that is more canonical with most of Marvel. And yeah, he just winds up being a bit of a deadbeat. Has to bury Aunt May, eventually divorces Mary Jane because he doesn't want kids, or is rather afraid of, bearing the responsibility of having kids, although maybe it's for the better if you guys know what goes down in those web shooters. But, yeah, he sort of grows along with Miles in that regard. Then, of course, you have Spider-Gwen, who I'll go ahead and say there's a bit of a twist I honestly didn't see coming. Maybe some of you guys saw it coming, but I didn't. But, yeah, she sort of has to still cope with the fact that in her dimension, Peter, her best friend, died, and she's almost reserved. Her best friend died, and she's almost reserved as to no longer having best friends, but we all know what's going on, guys. And honestly, I ship it. So, yeah, those end up being the three main dynamic characters of this entire film, whereas Spidey Noir, Penny Parker, and Spider-Ham, those guys all end up being what you call static characters that don't really change that much. Now, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily terrible. Now let's talk about Penny Parker, because I know a lot of you people came back from my Penny Parker video that I did that one time, and I did read the comment section, and yeah, I was sort of a little bit weary about the fact that Penny wasn't going to get many lines. However, I think more or less her charm comes from the fact that from more or less the art style, kind of similar to Spider-Ham's charm in a way, which I gotta say is kind of fitting considering how in the comics the way Penny Parker gets dragged into the greater spider dimension is through Spider-Ham. And yeah, basically, if you know a lot more about anime, if you know about Evangelion, or you sort of know, yeah, her entire charm is the fact that she's a highly intelligent 14-year-old girl. She'll probably do a whole bunch of hacker stuff and probably has seen Mr. Robot, but in the end, she's still a 14-year-old. Like, when I saw her, you know, in Heelys, I'm wondering in my mind, is that supposed to be a reference to Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions, considering the fact that her art style emulates something similar to that show? Or is it just, you know, is this just what the writers thought a 14-year-old would do, wear Heelys? By the way, if any preteens thinking of wearing those, or any middle schoolers thinking of wearing those, don't, unless you really like having very sore ankles. Anyways, Spidey Noir, Nick Cage does a very good job in that. He sort of has a delivery that both lets you take him seriously, but also see that there's a goofy side to it. And John Mulaney's Spider-Ham knocks it out of the park, man. Anyways, the art style, let me tell you this. There were a ton of warnings when I went into the theater saying that if you're epileptic or prone to seizures, do not consider watching this film. But honestly, I feel bad for those people because this film was just amazing, especially in IMAX. Like, do watch it if you get the chance to watch it in IMAX, man. It's worth every penny. Like, I had to take a little bit from my Domino's job, in order to afford the tickets and, of course, afford these cups in the bucket. But damn it, it's worth it. And of course, the soundtrack. Oh, a lot of the soundtrack. They managed to mix it so well. Like, each song is placed at the right moment. And let me just tell you, Stanley outdid himself for that. Like, Stanley, if you're watching this from heaven, if somehow heaven has an internet connection and you're watching this, you are the best man that I've ever known. You are my inspiration. Like, that guy's my inspiration. He is the person I want to emulate. And not only as a writer, not only as a content creator, not only as a fiction crafter, but also as a person, you know? And honestly, he left a pretty high bar for us. But you know what? I think everyone out there will try to do their best to jump over that bar. So far, my score for this film, 4.9999 out of 5. That little 0.0001% that probably doesn't make me give it the full 5 out of 5 is basically all the small little nitpicks that kind of bothered me. But honestly, it's like they're nitpicks. In the grand scheme of things, I absolutely do not care too much about that. But it is just absolute perfect. It deserves an Oscar, and I hope it does get the Oscar, because if it doesn't, we're rioting. For reals. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought of this film. Let me know which version of Peter, of Spider-Man you guys liked. I honestly want to see more of Penny Parker. Call me a lolicon, but god damn it, she's just too damn cute. Like, ravioli, do not loot the Spidey. Oh my god, you guys already did it. Oh god, you guys are a bunch of sickos, and I probably am one too. So, yeah, that's all I really got. Honestly, Stanley, I salute you. I just realized I saluted with the left hand, just like Tom Holland. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about the film. Let me know what other stuff you guys want me to make. And yeah, until then, this is me saying thank you for being smart. Sayonara.